everyone. Thanks again for tuning in to Sin's Workshop. Hope you're having a great day. Alright, so today we're going to be talking about Graceling by Kristen Cashore. This is the first novel in her Graceling series, and I am late to the party regarding this series. Book 4 just came out, and I received an arc of it, thinking it was a one-off. Nope. So I just had to read all 3 books record time before I can read Winter Keep. So let's get back to Graceling. So the novel follows Katza. She is a Graceling. So Gracelings are people who they're born with different eye colors and they have different abilities. It could be anything from playing piano or mind control or being able to read minds or having a sixth sense. You know, the Graceling can be anything. For Katza, it is her skill at fighting, her will to survive, and it makes her a very formidable protagonist for the story. I will say, first and foremost, I listened to this as an audiobook just because I wasn't able to get my hands on a physical copy from the library, and I really didn't want to read a digital copy of it. I'm trying to step away from ebooks a little bit and go back to hardcovers, which is kind of hard when it comes to advanced readers copies. I generally do get ebooks from publishers, which, you know, I'm not opposed to it. You know, it saves a tree, but it is hard on my eyes when I'm just reading at my digital screen. So I did listen to this as an audible, and it was a whole audible performance. It wasn't just one person. It was a whole cast. Pardon me. It was a whole cast of characters. There was music. And I thought that was very engaging for me as a listener. It kept my attention. You know, I did just read an advanced reader's copy audiobook, which was a first, and it didn't have a cast. It was just like one voice throughout the thing. It wasn't even a human voice. It was a computerized voice with a British accent, which was cool. And it was interesting. I'll say that. So I do like the effort that went into creating this audiobook. I will say this, there were some times where early on in the book I was a little confused by Katza's age. The segues into her reminiscing were not always clear. There was this one moment where she's talking to a lady servant who, you know, kind of becomes like her mother. I wasn't really aware she was reminiscing about their relationship because, you know, she says she's 11. I'm like, wait, she's 11? I thought she was like 16 or 18 or something. You know, I was completely thrown. So I will say this for audiobooks, you really do have to pay attention when it comes to audiobooks. You can't just listen to them all the time while you're doing other stuff. I do that a lot, so I'm very guilty of that, which is why I always like it when audiobooks do an extra step to keep you engaged. So I like a full cast for storytelling, and I did like the music when it came to breaking up the chapters. You know, music started a chapter, music ended a chapter. I did find that to be entertaining, and it definitely helped keep my attention for the most part. Once again, there were times that were similar to that moment where I was a little lost. I was like, wait, what? Where are we? I really think that I wasn't able to like see. Obviously, I'm not able to see the passage of time because I'm listening to it. And when you're listening to something, it's so easily, you can get distracted very easily. So I think I probably would have enjoyed this book more if I had read it as a physical copy rather than listening to it. But I will say I did like the voice acting. I did like the characterization. I did like the whole production of the audiobook as a whole. So that's my critique on the audiobook aspect of it. Now, as for the actual story, I think it was really interesting. I like how she has to. You're a little lost on where she lies. Like, is she a good guy? Is she a bad guy? Why are they kidnapping this guy? I will say this for Cashro's writing. She doesn't just give you everything from the get-go, and I like that. I do like it when authors give you tidbits, because that creates tension and it creates mystery in the story. I know I'm fidgeting with my hair a lot. I'm sorry about that. I just can't stand my hair when it's in its natural state, and I've just been too lazy to take care of it. But this is it naturally, and it's driving me nuts. But anyway, I will say this about Cashro's writing. She does a really good job of layering the story. You really don't know who the bad guy is. There's a lot of going on, lots of misdirection, and it does create a really strong foundation for the reader to be intrigued in what's going on. You're just like, wait, I thought he was bad. I'm like, what? So it doesn't confuse you. I'll say that. It's not a confusing read. It is pretty straightforward, but there are layers to the storytelling that do keep you engaged. As for the actual characterization, I thought Katza, it was great. She's a little abrasive sometimes, but not in a bad way. She's abrasive in the fact that she's been mistreated much of her life because of her Graceling. Her uncle has pretty much abused her skill and made her his personal assassin. So he doesn't really think of her as a human being. He just thinks of her as a weapon. That's it. And so that might be a little off-putting. That's what I'm getting at. It might be a little off-putting to actually read her sometimes. I will say this. The romance that develops between her and Poe, I think it needed more foundation to it. I've read a lot of other reviewers, and they kind of agree with me. It did seem a little unsettling, just because it comes out of nowhere. I feel like we don't really get to know Poe as a character from the beginning. He's just kind of there. He's kind of there. He is fighting with her a lot. They spar. That's what I mean. They spar a lot. It was his grandfather that she stole, rescued, saved, whatever you want to go with. Like I said, it's not really clear in the beginning why she's kidnapping this old man. Is it like a political? We're not really sure. So it opens the door for another villain, like the true villain Lek, to enter the pages. And he's a sociopath. He is. Oh, he's a sociopath. And I'm just saying that because, I've read books 2 and 3, so I know even more about Lek than I ever would want to know, because I think he's a terrible human being. I mean, Lek is he is horrible. But it does, he does make a good villain. I'll say this. He has the power to control minds. And I just think it's interesting how the author decides to develop his ability to do that, and develop his relationship with Poe and with Katza, because again, she has a lot of strong will, and his power only goes so far, and you get to see that in the storytelling. So it does create a lot of tension. You're just like at the edge of your seat at those moments. You're like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. I was just like, don't fall for it. I'm like, come on, Katza, pull yourself together, don't fall for it. So I thought that was really good. When a story pushes me to the edge of my seat, I'm really entertained at that point. I'm engaged. And like I said, I like Katza. I don't really care so much about any of the other characters, to be honest with you. Like Poe, I don't really care. Her other guy friends, like, I don't really care. I don't really care about them. They weren't really engaging to me, as characters. Now, that's not to say that there wasn't characterization in the story. There was definitely some good characterization. Wrong word. There were good dynamics. There we go. Between Katsa and these other characters. I do like their relationships. Except for hers and Poe's. I think her and Poe, I liked them better when they were friends. Um, I think we just needed to see a little bit more development for Poe, because for a lot of the beginning, he just feels like a background character. Like, he's just there. I don't really think he added much of anything to the story until it really starts to develop midway through. You know, when we get to know a little bit more about Lek and about the real villain, the real antagonist of this story. I kind of wish the author had devoted a little bit more time to fleshing out Poe as a character and to developing his narrative, because I was not invested in Poe the way I was invested in Katsa. So that made the romance for me a little underwhelming. I could have done without it, to be perfectly honest with you. And the fact that he can read minds, in a way. He can read minds in a way. It's more like he's sensing your thoughts. I know it made a lot of people uncomfortable. Once again, you know, I did read a lot of reviews, and it did make a lot of people uncomfortable. It didn't make me personally uncomfortable, but I see where they're coming from. Because he's invading her privacy without really telling her. See, and that is problematic, because he's getting to know her without telling her how he's getting to know her. Like, he's not being honest about who he is. Understandably, it's explained why he keeps his ability a secret. We can definitely understand why he's keeping it a secret. It's a dangerous power to have. It can be misused in the wrong hands. So he keeps it a secret. And we get it. We understand why. As readers, we're totally on his side here. But it does make that romance between him and Katsa, for a lot of readers I've discovered, it does make them uncomfortable, and I get why. I completely understand why. It didn't really rub me the wrong way, but it did make that romance a little more underwhelming, in my opinion. But, you know, overall, I did like the story. I did think it was engaging. That ending with Katsa, I was floored. Like, again, I love Katsa as a character. She is a fierce female protagonist. She kicks all kinds of ass. I like her. And again, you know, I liked this story. I like the production of the story. This unabridged version that I listened to. So once again, I definitely do recommend the unabridged version, especially if you're looking for a different sort of audiobook. Or if you really want to read the book, but you don't really have the time, like me, you know, full-time job, full-time mom, reading, not always an option, as much as it used to be. So I've picked up audiobooks. This is definitely an audiobook I will definitely recommend because of the production, the full cast, the musical background, to separate the chapters. I thought it was a well done production, and I really do think it did the story justice. So I'm going to go ahead and give this book 3.5 out of 5 stars. Not quite 4, because again, I didn't really care for any of the other characters other than Katsa. So I felt like that did hinder my overall enjoyment of the story, especially the romantic lead. I don't care about Poe, honestly. I do grow to care about him in other books, but I just didn't care about him that much in this one. Now, if you want to go ahead and purchase the book, I recommend purchasing it from your local bookseller or bookshop.org and support your local bookseller. If money's tight, please check out the book from your local library. And support the author with a book review and recommending it to other readers. And I hope, on that note, you will continue to support me by liking this video and sharing it with all your book-loving friends. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and as always, happy reading!